up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the NXT GEN Podcast. I got a special one for you. I got my boy here, Mike Lau. He's the co-founder of the Prehab guys, co-founder of Prehab PT. They're doing excellent work right now. They got over 1 million subscribers on Instagram, over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, 10,000 subscribers on the Prehab app, and they're currently helping over 30,000 patients per month through the Prehab exercise library. So I'm sure you've already heard of these guys and him in particular, but if you haven't, then you're behind. So, anyways, thanks for joining me, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that intro. That's insane.
Yeah,
dude, I'm glad we're finally able to do this. This is awesome.
Same. Me too. Hey, these are your numbers. This is your work. It's not it's not fabricated. So you put in the work and you deserve it, man. But yeah, thank you for being on. This is gonna be fun. Look, we'll start real simple. Just tell me where you grew up, upbringing.
Yeah.
Talk about upbringing. We'll work our way all the way up to here.
Yeah. So I grew up in Northern California, Sacramento, California.
Okay.
I was there for 18 years, very suburban, low key life. Went down to UCLA for undergrad.
Okay.
Was at UCLA, then took a year off. Went to USC for grad school. Bruins all the way though. Don't rep anything like Trojans.
Wait, what did you major at UCLA?
I majored in physiological science. So the whole time I was at UCLA, I thought I was actually going to be an orthopedic surgeon. That was in the back of my mind.
Okay.
I'll be an orthopedic surgeon. I knew I wanted to go into healthcare. I knew I wanted to help people, and I was like, all right, orthopedic surgeon, sports, that sounds like a good match. I'll do that.
Sure.
And I think it was a very rude awakening at some point. I was like, yeah, I don't think I have the GPA to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then finding out how many years it takes to become an orthopedic surgeon, 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, another 4 years of residency, probably another 2 years of some fellowship, another 2 years of another fellowship.
Ugh, that's rough.
You'll be 35, 36 by the time you can have your own practice. And having my own practice and being an entrepreneur was super important to me. So I was like, okay, that's probably out of the picture. And then I found physical therapy. I was an aide for a year after undergrad in a place in Century City down kind of near where we are here. Okay. Did an aide within a week. I was like, this is what I want to do. I can do this.
Oh, dope. What was that place?
It's called Paul Steph Physical Therapy. He's now retired.
Okay.
I think he just sold his practice, but
wow, nice.
I got to be super involved with the plans of care that the physical therapists were doing with their patients. I got to be part of that process. I got to see people walk in fear and pain, and then walk out with confidence and no more pain. And I was like, this is really, really cool. It was literally with the first week. I was like, I will apply to PT school.
That's cool.
This makes sense.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool that you got that experience for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So. What was the major at UCLA?
So it's called physiological science. It's basically UCLA's pre-med major.
Got it.
It's all the pre-med classes that you would do if you need to go to med school.
Med school. Okay.
All the organic chem, the physics, all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
All the boring hard science, all the hard science.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Because I know they don't have kinesiology. So
they don't, and I wish they did.
I know. Seriously.
I had one kinesiology class in undergrad. That was also my senior year, and that's when I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And the two offshoots of that were physical therapy or biomechanics.
Right.
And then actually, I didn't mention this. I actually applied to USC master's program for biomechanics.
Oh, no shit.
Right after undergrad.
Whoa.
I got in, went on a tour, and while I was touring USC, so USC's biokinesiology program, it's both master's and PhD students and doctor of physical therapy students, all housed within the same building. So it's a shared, I don't want to say shared curriculum, but shared faculty, shared resources.
Got it.
So I'm getting the tour of the master's program, and I'm seeing all the PT students there. I'm seeing the labs, the cadavers, and I'm like, yo, this is sick. What is this?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, physical therapy. That was my senior year. And then I got the job as an aide between undergrad and grad school, and then applied and switched it from the master's and applied the next year as a PT applicant.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
So that was my path to PT school.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like most people's path to PT is I was an athlete, I got injured.
Yep.
And, that's it.
Typical, yeah. I went to PT, I fell in love, and that's honestly a great path too. You're getting that experience and seeing it from the other side as a patient.
Totally.
And then mine was just a little bit different, and the entrepreneur side was also important too. The doctoral degree is only 3 years. So I also knew that within 3 years I would have I'd be 26 or 27. I could have the ability to start a business.
Yeah.
That was super important too.
That's crazy. I was gonna ask this later, but I'll ask it now. Because I'll tell you right now, when I was high school, college, whatever, early 20s or younger, like I was not thinking about having my own business. I was just thinking about like just getting a job and whatever.
Girls.
Yeah. Whatever. Life. Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So like what brought the importance of entrepreneurship to you?
I think it was honestly from a young age. So my dad is an optometrist. So he owned his own practice. My mom was in like business. I still don't fully understand something in real estate, something in like building. It's like hard for me to explain. I don't understand it to this day. But it's not like real estate agent. It's some offshoot of getting people the money in order to build, like the builders or something like that.
Okay.
So it was always like kind of surrounded by that with my parents. And then I also just knew, I think from a very young age, it was really hard for me to like process and work in environments that don't make sense to me, like mentally.
For sure.
Or basically like working for someone or working in a system that doesn't make sense, and like or being stubborn or thinking, okay, I think there's a better way of doing something. So I always kind of knew it'd be hard for me to work, work for someone.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, well, I would want to do it this way. I think there's a better way of doing something. So I always kind of knew I was like, I'm going to do something on my own from a pretty young age.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. That's great. I mean, like everyone, I feel like there's always a story behind entrepreneurship. Like mine's super different from yours, but that's cool.
Where's yours? Like, where the origins for you?
Of entrepreneurship, I feel like it must have come from like, look, the goal for me was always get to the NBA, work at the highest level, whatever, be a leader in the industry, whatever, all that sort of stuff. And then that was great. But like once you have like bad mentor after bad mentor after bad supervisor, bad decision after bad decision, and also being like underappreciated and all that stuff, it's just like, I don't need you. I don't need this.
Yeah,
like,
why stay in that system that's broken, right? Like I'm just going to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
I've learned all the pitfalls in that system, and I don't need to bring those with me.
For sure.
You can go do your own thing, and I think that's what's so cool about doing your own thing. You take everything that you learned before that, and that you continue to learn. Like, okay, I'm going to do it a better way. You know, like what we believe will be a better way.
Totally. I mean, like, but to say this is like, when someone, like when you said, or when people say in general, like, I want to be, they're like, I graduated high school and I want to own my own business. I graduated college, I want to be in my own business. It like makes me think, I was like, but you guys don't even know what the industry like looks like, what it takes. Like you haven't been, I'd say this, like I miss being an employee from the perspective of like, you as an employee, you have the privilege of like observing someone else make mistakes. And you have the also do great things as well.
Yeah.
Like, but you have the privilege of like having no stake in the game.
Ultimately, the responsibility doesn't fall on you.
Correct.
Which is a blessing and a curse.
Exactly.
You know, both ways.
But like ultimately, like exactly low stakes. When you're an employee, you just show up and do your job and do a great job and whatever. But like as a business owner, it all starts and ends with you. So like, which is great as well. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is like, I didn't. If it wasn't for like, who knows, if I had like, not to say I have bad mentors, I have great mentors too, but I've had a lot of jobs. So within those jobs, I've worked with a lot of people, but like, I wonder if I just had great mentors the whole time through, I wonder where I would be now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to play that game because those experiences, they shape who you are and like they make you the great person that you are today. No, of course.
No, it's not
all those things.
No, it's not to say that like it shouldn't be this way or shouldn't have been that way or there's no regrets at all. I'm just saying like mine came from like, what are you guys doing? Like, can't you see? You know what I'm saying?
The frustrations, right? Of seeing things and not wanting them to be better, and different, and like not understanding. Well, why is it like this? I just don't understand why it's like this.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems so simple. It should be this way.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But also learning the great things from my mentors as well. Like, if I never met like Ken Vick, who's the founder of Velocity Sports Performance, like, I don't know, because Velocity, he changed his business model now. It's different than what it was, but like, Velocity used to be like the shit. Like they used to be everywhere. It's where all the athletes would go. It's where all the Olympic teams would go.
There was one on Wilshire, right?
There was one on.
Yeah, because there's a PT office, I think, inside.
There was one on. It was on San Vicente, right there.
Yeah.
That Brentwood one, and then there's the South Bay one, the Redondo Beach one, which is now the Dodgers. The Dodgers bought it, but like, that one used to be like crazy. Like that's where all the pros would go at the time, And then also like velocities used to be all across the nation. Now they don't exist anymore. He changed his business model. He's like, he still coaches to this day, but it's kind of like his own thing, like much smaller. He's not like franchising or anything anymore.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of work in China because like China pays really well and
Really?
whatever. He like works with Olympic teams
nice.
in China and stuff.
Very
like
cool.
But anyways, all that to say, like, he built a business that was like profoundly successful, and I was lucky enough to like learn from that. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
Having mentors and people that have been there to share their wins and losses, and the losses I think are even that much more important, is super vital. Like, you can go figure it out on your own, right? But then it takes so much longer.
Totally.
Or someone could just tell you, well, this is how it worked for me, and I didn't work this way. Okay, well, I'll just not make that mistake, or try not to make that mistake, and learn a little bit faster.
Yeah, but you just learn how, like, oh, this is the model that works.
Mm-hmm.
These are the prices. This is the market.
Yep.
These are the price points. These are the hours. This is like what operations look like. This is what policies look like. Oh, all right. Well, I have all this now. Yeah. I know how all this runs. I can recreate this myself, and make the changes that I need to make necessary, and then run it. So
the two things, the thread there, that I want to say is like failure. I think people are so scared of failure. And I think it's the most important thing to actually have. I think it's so important to fail often, because you learn so much more when you fail, as long as you can respond from it, react from it, learn from what you did, and then get back up and adjust course and be able to pivot. Because every time you change and you pivot, you learn. It should be getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to fail often. Like, we failed with so many things. There's so many decisions that we make are the wrong decisions. But as long as you can identify it as fast as possible, learn from it, and then adjust course, like, you're going to reach that point that you want to so much faster than someone that's 100%. Just going to sulk in failure or think it's like the worst thing. And I really think failure is awesome. Like, I think
totally.
It's great.
Totally. We're going a different direction than I thought we would, but we're gonna it's okay. I'm gonna keep. We're gonna keep it going. We'll come back. With that being said, like, for me personally, I struggle with this now, but I definitely struggle with this, I don't know, earlier, like before I started the company, and like, it was a big hurdle for me, but like imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like, imposter syndrome comes from like the fear of failing, and also the fear of like, nobody wants to listen to this podcast, or nobody wants to train with me, or nobody wants to work with me, or whatever. Like, so in the world of content and what you're doing, and also the world of starting your own business, like, I'm sure you dealt with imposter syndrome.
For sure.
Right. So like, how did you deal with that? How did you overcome it? How did you like navigate it?
Yeah, I think a couple different ways. I think one of them and it's super normal to feel unvalued or unappreciated or not as smart as someone else that you're looking up to. I think that's a totally normal feeling. So that's the first thing I think I'd want to say. Yeah. And then I think the second is, what we have to do is take a step back and look back at, I do have clients, I do have patients, I do have people that want to listen, that want to talk to me, and realize that even though you may not have the confidence in some other areas, or you may have some self-doubt, look at the results of what's coming in. To like put that self-doubt. It's good to have some self-doubt, but put that aside a little bit, not let it overcome you, knowing that I'm working with people every day. I'm helping them get better. They're referring their mom to me, and now I'm working with their mom. Like you have those positive signals to allow you to continue to push forward. And then I think the second thing is like, I just don't know. It's hard to be the best at anything, and I don't know if that's something that anyone can actually ever achieve. You know what I mean? I guarantee there's so many smart people, whatever topic we want to do, that just you don't know because they haven't published any books, they haven't produced any content. Totally. You haven't had a conversation with them. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's really hard to get to that level, and I just don't think it's achievable. And just knowing that, being confident in your own abilities, and knowing that you're having an impact on the people that are around you on an everyday basis is like what's more important than being the smartest or the smarter, or not being as smart as this person over there.
It's hard not to, but
it's hard not to though. It's very hard not to.
It's totally true, because like you want to be the best, and you want to be regarded, and you want highly regarded, and you want to be whatever, like whatever it is, like But that's well said, because like I'll always compare myself to whatever colleagues or other people in the industry as well. Like, damn, I'm definitely not as well versed in this topic that, like, for example, Tim Karen's like hypertrophy god. Like, all right, hypertrophy, bro. Like, you got it. Exercise. I feel like I feel like my exercise physiology knowledge is actually, I love exercise phys, so I geek out on it. But until I had a conversation with Tim Karen, I was like, oh my God, I don't know shit. Like, you got it for sure. And then you have guys like Andy Galpin, whatever. So it's like, it's just hard to like it's hard to not compare, but like you said, it's good to like reflect back on like what I've been, or the person's been able to achieve, and
the success that you are making.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a book, I think it's called Diary of a CEO, and what they say is like, for the CEO position, you're not the smartest person in anything. Like, your goal is, you're not the 10 out of 10 on hypertrophy. You're not the 10 out of 10 on programming principles, but you're a 7 or 8 out of 10 on hypertrophy, on programming principles, on communication, on speaking with doctors, on being able to infer from imaging, on everything. So you're just a very well-rounded person that's able to affect change and make good decisions because you have a good enough, not just a baseline understanding, but you have a above average understanding of everything that actually makes you that much more effective person as like a leader or an entrepreneur, rather than being like the expert. I know that's something I deal with. I'm not the expert in anything, but as long as you can understand enough things, I think you can make pretty good decisions.
I feel like I resonate with that. I feel like I'm really good at a lot of things.
Yeah. For sure. And I feel like that's more impactful than being like the 100% expert in one thing.
Sure.
Because then they only have that one narrow lane that they can swim in. But what happens if the circumstances change or the situation changes? Can they still succeed in all these other areas?
Right.
But if you have if you're above water in a lot of areas, you can do a lot of different things. A lot of different cool things.
Yeah, that's well said. All right, nice. All right, we're gonna take a step back. We're gonna go. All right, so you go to SC. You're in PT now.
Yep.
And then, this is where you meet Craig and Arash, or
So I met my two business partners, Craig and Arash, in PT school.
Okay.
Also met my wife, Adele, in PT school. Right. We started producing content the second year of PT school. So I started writing some blogs the first year at PT school.
Oh, okay.
And then we started producing just my own website. Just started a WordPress site. I was like, I'm just going to start writing some blogs.
Oh, cool.
And then the second year, we started producing the Instagram content, like for Prehab guys, like exercises. Basically, we were taking things we were learning in class, trying to dive a little bit deeper in them, understand them, and then repackage it in a way that we thought that the average person could understand.
Wow.
Because we realized there was so much information we were learning in the classroom, but we talked to my parents or I talked to our friend, and they don't have any knowledge of any of this. Like, hey, you shouldn't sit for 5 hours. Why? It seems like maybe there's a lot more social media content now. Everyone's like, okay, I should probably get up every couple hours from my seat. Yeah. But a lot of that stuff just wasn't disseminated well. I think social media also just wasn't as big. This was like
I feel like
2016.
Instagram was brand new.
It was brand new. It was kind of just coming out. So we definitely were like one of the first, I guess, groups you can say in our market or field to kind of like ride that wave.
You totally were.
Yeah, we're just trying to educate people.
Yeah, but take a step back. Like, what made you three guys come together, and then what made you guys like want to work on this together?
Yeah. One was seeing some of the content that was out there. We were like, oh man, that's really bad content. Just because that guy has an 8-pack, that girl's got, big boobs, like someone's going to listen to them and say how they should move or how they should exercise. So that was one. The second was to be able to impact more people and help people. As a provider, a coach, a trainer, and when you work one-on-one with people or even in a group setting, you're limited to the amount of people like in that room with you.
Right.
And it could be 20 people, it could be 30 people, and that's awesome. But there's still some sort of cap to that, right? But with social media, you can reach anyone, anywhere in the world, and everyone has a smartphone nowadays. Right. We knew that if you wanted to have as big of an impact as possible, let's put that on social media. And then the third, because at that time we were starting some of our clinical rotations, at least in physical rehabilitation, the large majority of people you see in the clinic, they could have gotten help 3, 6, 9, 12 months ago. And that help could have been one simple piece of advice like, just get up from your chair every hour. Or that pain that you're feeling is okay, let's just do this. That little piece of advice 2 years ago could have saved so much of their chronic disease progression or their psychology, what they're thinking about their pain. To now, when you see them in the clinic, it's a lot bigger problem or a lot more to unwrap than if they just got early intervention.
Totally.
So through social media, if you can educate people on their body, we can intervene as early as possible before people even reach us in the healthcare system, which is fundamentally like really, really broken. So the goal is like keep people out of the healthcare system, educate them on their body. And social media was like, we were like, that's going to be by far the best way to do that.
Totally. Wow, that's well said. Okay, so like, let's talk about just content for a second. So like, I don't know what year Instagram was like when it started or whatever, but like I said, it was definitely around
yeah.
It was around this time. So, I mean, first of all, like you, Craig, and Arash, you guys friends. I'm sure you guys all became friends in PT school.
Yeah, great friends.
Okay.
We all went on there's a story. We all went on a cruise to Mexico.
Okay.
Our second year in PT school over winter break.
Okay.
There must have been some more conversations. I don't fully remember what those conversations are.
Sure.
Must have been more conversations on that cruise. And then we got back from the cruise, and school starts on a Monday. We went to school on like a Saturday. We went to the basement in there, and we spent like the whole day in the basement coming up with like the name, the concept, starting the account, and everything like that. So we started it over winter break. I think it was like 2016 or something like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And you guys started this like, did you guys at first when, in those days, was it like, hey, let's all come together and like, I have a vision, or we have a vision to start this business, or is this like, let's just try this out and see what it is? It
was more so like, let's commit. Like we all committed to each other. We're gonna do one post a day and never miss a post. And I don't think we've maybe missed one day in like the history of like 9 years or something. But like it was one post a day every day, no matter what. The other 3 reasons were like the bigger reasons for doing content. But then there was also a more, I guess I call it a selfish or personal reason, was we wanted to continue learning sports and orthopedic knowledge. So in the DPT program at USC, the first year is all orthopedic sports, which is like right up our alley. The second year when this was happening is all neuro and cardiopulmonology. So that's like, there's a lot of like tons of physical therapists in inpatient, doing inpatient rehab. There's a lot you got to learn there, but that just wasn't our interest. So it was our way of continuing to refresh on all the stuff we had learned the previous year.
Right.
And keep it fresh because that's what our passion was.
Right.
So that was like the more like personal, like I guess you could say somewhat selfish reason for wanting to also do content.
Sure.
At that time.
That's okay. It's a good reason. It's a good reason itself. Okay. That's crazy. So then, so accessibility obviously is like the overarching theme, like making PT accessible to everyone.
Exactly.
And then you mentioned like keeping people out of the healthcare system, which is like, I mean, I can speak from my own experience dealing with my ankle. Like, it's terrible. Like
absolutely terrible.
I was referred to a PT. This is my first day going to PT. Not to you guys, someone else. And this PT, she was fairly young and fairly new, I could tell. And she was really nice. Like, I liked her. And then, obviously, we started, did some evaluations, did some soft tissue. Again, we got off the table. I was like, all right, let's start moving. I was like, okay, great, let's move. And she's immediately prescribes me, like, planks, bridges, and like clamshells, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm here for my ankle, right?
Is
like,
after your surgery or is this before?
This is post-op.
Post-op, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is post-op. And she was like, yeah, we're gonna get you back to playing basketball. I'm like, dude, like I was like, all right, maybe it's just a warm-up. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then no, it just like continued to be more of the same, and I was just like, I wanted to like grab her and shake her. I'm like, dude, how could you not? Like, what are you doing? Like.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. I can advocate for myself. It's okay. Like, I was really nice to her. I like, I was just like, I'm going to see what you got, like, whatever. But PTs are still, like, doing really primitive work and, like, they're thinking that they're helping, but they're not. And it's so, like, I think, obviously, without all that being said, twofold is, like, people need to, it's hard for, like, the average person to know, like, damn, this isn't actually helping.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to help me get back to what it is I want to do. And then B, but when it comes to what you're doing is like, when you can make PT more accessible, like you said, you can reach people before they even get to that point, hopefully. But also like from the practitioner side, hopefully the practitioners are looking at your stuff too, So it's tough. But like, what is like, what are your views on, the traditional path versus like, what you guys are doing.
Man, there's a lot to unpack there. We can go a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I guess we'll address maybe start with a wide lens, like the healthcare system that we have in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. We and I say we as providers, you get paid to provide intervention and treat. Right. The more treatment that you can do, the more you get paid as a provider. Mm-hmm. So that model is already kind of just backwards and wrong in the first place.
Sure.
All providers right now are just completely overwhelmed, right? Think about, like, I'm looking to try to get some medical things for myself, and it's like, that doctor's full, that doctor's full, that doctor's full. Think about anything that you'd want to get done, even PT. That PT clinic has a 3-month wait. That PT clinic has a 4-month wait.
Right.
All the healthcare practices are just completely overrun with wait lists, and you can't get the help that you need when you actually need it.
Totally.
So if we can have more asynchronous, which is kind of like what our app is, interventions, where we can educate people or use social media to educate people, hopefully the people that just have a very minor ankle sprain, a grade 1 ankle sprain, okay, so there's some very common advice that you can take care of that. Within a couple weeks, you should be good. We can keep those people out of the healthcare system, so that way the more serious people that just got out of surgery that need more help can actually see providers.
Right.
And those providers can honestly be a little bit more, what's a better way of saying this, a little bit more trained, one, but also maybe interested in seeing those more complex cases, because they are a little more complex, they're a little more nuanced, they're maybe a little bit more exciting. It's just not someone that, it's just another ankle sprain.
Right.
You know, that you just need some advice, you just need some exercises to go home.
And
so
the
it's kind of
practitioner,
separating the two.
Yeah, and the practitioner can be like more present.
More present.
As opposed to seeing 4 patients an hour,
Exactly.
or 2 or 3 or 4 patients an hour,
Yeah.
whatever the model is or wherever they work.
Yeah.
And just being overwhelmed. They're like, okay, we're just gonna pull out the out the good old sheet. Oh,
exactly.
Here you go. Do some of these ankle inversions with a band.
Yeah,
and there you go.
And it's not their fault. Like, if you're being asked to see 4 people an hour, how much time do you actually have to ask questions to understand that ankle sprain's grade 1 versus this one's a grade 3, or that's a low versus a high, and like that person needs a lot more attention than this person.
Right.
You don't have the time to do that because of the way our healthcare system's set up and how busy providers across the board are.
Yeah, they don't have time to prep or whatever.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough. It's like you said, it's not the provider's fault. It's not the clinician's fault.
It's the system's fault.
It's the system's fault for sure. I think there is a line, like, it depends on not everyone's the same. Like, you would hope that, like, people are proactive about their continuing education and their craft and whatever it is. But anyways, different conversation. But yeah,
with every profession, with every job that has to be done in the world, there's gonna be some average, right, that the mean kind of comes to. There's gonna be people that are above it and people that are below it.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some distribution like that. And I think you were asking, like, how do you advocate for yourself, or how do you know that your provider is maybe the right provider for you? I think some of the, at least when it comes to PT, like two of the main questions to ask your PT is like, what's my plan of care look like?
Oh, nice.
Not just like what you're telling me to do today. What's my plan of care look like? What's it look like in 6 weeks? What's it look like in 12 weeks? If this happens, what happens? If this happens, what happens? Like,
right.
They have to have a long-term plan of care. Like, the interventions you give someone today, it's not just some random group. It's not supposed to be some random grouping of interventions. It's supposed to be one small pebble of a very large rock or plan that you're trying to execute with the patient. So your provider needs to be able to answer and give you good answers of, like, what's my plan of care? That's, I think, one. The second, you already mentioned, you need to see results.
Yeah.
And if you're not seeing results, doesn't mean that just because you're not seeing results that the provider's not good. But if you're not seeing results, that provider also needs to let you know, well, why are you not seeing results? And then also, well, what's the next step? What's the plan?
Right.
Like, there should always be a plan. Well, I'm not seeing results here, so we're going to pivot and do this. Almost when we were talking about entrepreneurship, like, failure is important to learn. Okay, my plan's not working, and now I'm going to go somewhere else.
Totally.
So I think those are the 2 questions to ask to, like, make sure that you have a decent provider that is taking the time to treat you as an individual and thinking about your whole plan of care, not just trying to get through that day.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's excellent. I feel like, I don't know. That was great. I don't know. That was excellent. All right, cool. All right, going back to content for a second. I think we already had this talk, but, like, Prehab is definitely ahead of its time. Like, with the vision, the approach, like, it's all, like, kind of what you said, just making PT more accessible. It's all, like, really ahead of its time. Like, how do you hope how do you hope to continue to like influence the industry and how like physical therapy is?
Yeah, I think the audacious goal, like the 10-year plan or the 10-year goal is like prehab is the first step that anyone takes when they have any sort of MSK issues, any sort of musculoskeletal issues. Whether that means that you're looking at a blog when you're educating yourself, or a YouTube video, or any of the free content, whether that means you're downloading the app and getting some help and getting some actual programming that you can work on your grade 1 ankle sprain, which manage swelling and try to get weight bearing as soon as you can.
Right.
It's the first step before going straight into the doctor. In addition to that, the other caveat I'd say is you do need, when you have MSK issues, you do need to address them. When they're unaddressed, they typically balloon into something a lot bigger. But addressing them doesn't have to be this big catastrophic thing like I'm going to get all these MRIs and get a crazy surgery. It could just be I'm going to walk more. You know what I mean? So prehab being the first step for people to get some advice, to get some help, and to create a plan for themselves. And that plan may still lead to a provider in person. And it should. If it's something more serious, you need to go see someone in person for more individualized care.
For sure.
But hopefully you can address a large majority of things like on your own. And then if we're giving the patient or the user all the tools that they need to take control of their health, now they're invested in that journey. And that's like the most important thing. Like you got to be invested in your health. It's really hard to convince like my parents to exercise because they've never been invested in it. That's never been part of their day-to-day routine. But if you can get someone to take an active approach in movement, that's going to set you up for so many positive things throughout the entire rest of your life and increase your lifespan and every other good thing that comes with movement and exercise.
Yeah. No, totally. Actually, I just thought of something when you were just speaking. So we talked about this before this, but like I try to make sure that all of my clients and athletes that I train, I always give them stuff to do on their own because I'm like, dude, I need you, like, oh, your knee's bugging you, like patellar tendon stuff. All right, I need you to work on these things at home. I'm gonna send you. You have your profile on True Coach on the training app. You have your homework. You have the app. Go do it. You have like let's say we train on Wednesday and Friday. I'm like, all right, on Thursday and Saturday, maybe even Sunday. And before I see you, I need you to do these. I need you to do this. Like, I need you to feel better by the next time I see you. But on top of that, and you'll be the person to answer this, is like, it doesn't matter. Let's say I get this text all the time from parents. It's like, hey, my son's knee is bothering them. We're not going to come to training this week. We're gonna go see the doctor.
Yeah. And
I'll tell you what I say. Typically, it depends. Like at first I'm like, oh, are they okay? What's going on? Was there an incident? What happened? Like, oh no, it's just something that's been bothering them, and we just want to go to the doctor and see. I'm like, okay, well, like, two things. I think we can keep training. I don't think we have to cancel training. Like, I'm happy to take a look. I'm no doctor, but I'm happy to take a look and see. And then worst case, like, we just train around it. There's plenty of other things that we can do, and we can still work towards our goal.
100%.
And then B is like, hey, seeing a doctor, hopefully, like, seeing a doctor won't hurt. However, like, if this is something that has to do with aches and pains, you might want to go see a PT instead, because this is more their wheelhouse. And if you go see a doctor, A, you'll probably have to wait, and then B, you'll probably just get referred to a PT anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with that being said, I mean, I'm sure you've gotten that with inpatient care. So, like, what's your experience with that?
I mean, you mentioned it, like, people, for that example of a person, why they may be scared or why they may be making those decisions because they don't feel like they have a plan, right? Oh, I've been having this pain and I don't have a plan for it. So, like, I'm just going to go to the doctor because that's what I think the plan is. And it's like, it's our job as healthcare providers and coaches, whether you're a coach, the doctor, or the PT, is to help give that patient a plan. That what you just said, that's a plan. Oh, no, that's okay. We're going to keep training around it. We're still going to be able to reach our goals. Like, and we have to be able to give that plan to our clients and our patients so that they feel comfortable with, like, the actions and the next steps that they're taking.
Yeah.
And I feel like the interventions that coaches, trainers, physical therapists use, it's the same, right? Maybe in a slightly different part of the continuum of where someone is, but we're going to look at load management. We're going to look at what the program looks like. We're going to maybe add some things, subtract some things. We'll maybe look at what they're doing outside of our actual program.
Totally.
It's the same stuff, and like that is the real plan that any of us can help that patient with. Because yes, if it's not some sort of traumatic injury and it's been something that's just been kind of chronic, there's not a lot of swelling, especially if we're thinking lower extremity joints, it's probably not something that they're going to do surgery on anyways.
Right.
You know, and just getting that image, and that starts a lot of other things that,
exactly.
that typically doesn't end up as well as if you just didn't get that image and addressed it early
Exactly,
on.
yeah. It's always like, oh, we're going to get an MRI. It's like, all right, it won't hurt, but like, I don't think, I mean, you could save a few bucks, you know, like, and time.
Yeah.
You know, maybe.
A lot of bucks.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of bucks. Like maybe it's like, hey, why don't you go see my PT friend and like have them take a look? And they'll usually be like, well, does insurance cover them? And then that's a whole another hurdle.
Yeah.
It's like, well, sorry, I'm not going to pay cash. I already have insurance. I'm going to go through insurance. It's like, okay, well, it's going to take you like 2 months to see someone. And then it's a whole other thing. So then what I try to do, and then that's why it puts me in a difficult position where like, I don't step outside of my scope. I don't pretend to be a doctor or a PT or anything like that. I am good at what I do, and I am able to help a lot of people. But I feel like I'm put in a position where I have to step in and be like, all right, let me take a look, and then it's usually nothing I've never seen before to this point. I'm usually pretty comfortable with tendinopathies and things that you commonly see with athletes that are on the court a lot or whatever it is. So I can usually do a great job of intervening and providing care. But what I'm trying to say is it puts me in a difficult position when it's something that I feel is outside of my scope.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't have an option or I feel like they don't have an option because like they're not going to go like I can't, for example, refer them to a cash-based PT because they're not going to pay for it and they don't care enough or they don't value enough or they don't see the value in it. And then they're going to be thrown into the cycle of the medical system where they have to wait X amount of time to see a provider that doesn't really necessarily do a great job, and it's a whole thing. So
it's a bad situation to be in. I mean, I think there's a lot of probably coaches and trainers in that situation all the time, right? And you can continue to increase your knowledge to be able to help those patients. I think that's the number one thing. I'll say whether it's in or out of your scope, like we want to do right by the person in front of us. And if doing right means we're trying to get them in the healthcare system to see someone and they're not doing it, well, you're not just going to give up on the person, right? So try as hard as you can to get them in. And I think a lot of what we're doing at Prehab PT, because it is a cash-based model, is that we like to think of ourselves as like the coach there. So like you don't have to come into PT 3 times a week, every week. You can come in for an eval and get what that plan looks like and execute it on your own or execute it with the coach or something like that and just check in every month just to make sure we're hitting the milestones that we need to reach the end goal.
Totally.
And then it's that collaborative work between someone in healthcare, someone on the training side, because there's so much more touch points on the training side.
Right.
Or there should be at least than like on the healthcare side.
Right.
To actually be able to help that person get back and give them the confidence and give them the reassurances that they're doing the right things and making progress, because it's hard to see progress every day when you're actually the person going through it.
Totally. But on top, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The only thing that becomes the next hurdle is accountability, which people need. Yeah. Like, that's why I still come to you guys. Is like, I need the accountability. Mm-hmm. I do this for a living and I still need the accountability, because like, I just get caught up with my schedule, get caught up with my responsibilities, my obligations, whatever it is. And like, obviously I want to do my best. I'm trying to get back to full health and whatever it is.
Looks good, by the way, right now.
Huh?
So it looks good, by the way.
Yeah. We're moving. We're moving. We're moving. It's good. But yeah, even like I need the accountability. Yeah. So like, if someone like me, not that I'm special, but like, if someone like me needs the accountability, then like I know the person that doesn't even value this from the start needs the accountability for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's where it comes in for sure. So like, I think cash-based PT is like certainly, and there's a need for it because you can just circumvent the model or like the whole insurance, monster. The issue is like, are people going to pay for it? Do people value it? Can they see the value? And
correct.
Are they going to take the initiative?
Yeah, it's when we talk about everything we're trying to do at Prehab, it is increasing access to physical therapy, knowledge and education and tools. And oftentimes people will say, well, what about the cash model? Like that's actually putting up barriers because it costs a lot more. Yes, that may be true, that it may cost a lot more, but we're actually providing better access to a lot of other things because you don't need to be seen again 3 times a week. that one visit could be all that we really need to just get you on the right ship and still work with an in-network PT.
Yeah.
And if you need hands-on care, or if you need the accountability, which is huge. Like there's just some people that aren't as self-motivated, or you need that accountability. I need to check in with someone every 2 weeks, or every two times a week, or one time a week.
Yeah.
And keep going and use your insurance. And there's no good or bad with insurance or cash either. They're just two different models, and you need both of them. You know what I mean? It can't be all one or the other, because then there wouldn't be enough. We wouldn't be able to help people the way that we need to from a population level.
With that being said, I am doing both.
Yeah.
I come to Prehab once every 2 weeks or whatever it is, and then I go to my insurance.
Yeah.
I go to the PT that my insurance covers 2 or 3 times a week because I need those touch points, and I'm ultimately paying for the accountability.
Yeah, and as long as like you and both PTs are all on the same page, like that's an awesome team. Like that's like an ideal. That's a squad right there.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and they should work in unison like that. You know, most cash practices may not have as long as a wait list. They usually don't.
Right.
So maybe you go see the cash PT while you're waiting for your in-person PT, and then you can link them up like that. As long as the PTs are communicating and are on the same page, like you got two people in your corner now. That's better. That's better than one.
Totally. Yeah. I think the way I didn't even think of it like that. I just did it. I don't know. I just felt like it was the right thing to do, and I think it is. I just feel like hopefully, I don't know how. Obviously, I'm using my journey as like a way to set an example.
Mm-hmm.
As a coach, I feel like I have to, but I feel like most people wouldn't do what I'm doing. Like they wouldn't go to a cash-based PT and an insurance-based PT at the same time. But hopefully, like, you know, maybe I can help change that and help drive that like process.
Yeah. But you gotta value your health, right? And like, if you value your health, you value your body, and maybe even your mental well-being, if that's because it's very correlated to, you know, your physical well-being.
Yeah.
You'll make those decisions to put you up in a position to succeed like that.
Totally.
And I think that's great. And everyone needs to advocate for themselves and put them in positions to have the greatest chance of success.
Totally. Agreed. We'll switch gears a little bit. What is the, like, in like the PT or ortho setting, like, for you, what is like the value or what is the importance of like strength and conditioning knowledge or a PT having or being dual certified or whatever it is, like in PT?
It's huge. Every single orthopedic or sports PT needs to have an S&C background, like 100%. Like the fact that they're even like kind of like separated, or it's not like something that's together, is just, to me, it just seems really, really wrong. The way that we get people from that are in pain to out of pain, and out of pain into performance, those principles span the entire thing. Those loading principles are the same.
Totally.
So you have to understand all the principles of S&C, because again, what's the end goal for the patient? Is the patient's end goal just to be out of pain? They may verbalize that to you, that their end goal is just to get out of pain, but if just getting out of pain for 3 months, and then because they didn't actually get any stronger and address the true underlying issues, they're back in the clinic 3 months later, that's not the real end goal. The real end goal is that they are performing, they're functioning like adequately in their day-to-day activities or whatever their recreational activities are. So for PTs or healthcare providers that are working on the beginning of that continuum, if we don't understand where people are trying to go at the end, we're not going to do what we need to do in the beginning stages to set up everything else that's supposed to happen when they're out of the healthcare system, which is in your guys' hands. What if someone's, think of a surgery. What if someone had a year-long surgery stint, and the surgical, site is good, the integrity is all great, but the person's been non-weight bearing for 12 weeks, but the surgery is great because it healed. That person is going to absolutely fail with any sort of loading, and it's going to take you years to build that up again, right? So like it's the healthcare professional's job to work on all those things and integrate them within their program, so that way when they are quote unquote out of pain, which PT's not supposed to stop there, but traditionally it does, the person has all the baseline. They have the GPP ready to go and now train for life or whatever that could be for them.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's where it's surprising how it's, like you said, it's surprising how they're not like they're not together.
Yeah.
There's not enough overlap. There's not enough like meshing between the two. It's kind of like siloed off where, so now it's really, like you said, the loading principles are all the same. They exist throughout the entire process. Yeah. It's just like, are you on this side of the spectrum? Are you on the rehab side of the spectrum? Or are you on the performance side? But like ultimately, they're the same.
They are the same.
Yeah.
They're 100% the same.
Yeah. It's just like you're better at regressions. Like you're better at the early stage stuff, and I'm better at the late stage stuff. But like ultimately, we should know both sides of it.
Because it's the same movement. We're talking about a jump or a squat, whatever it is, whatever pattern you want. It's the same pattern. It's the same movement. Maybe the contexts are a little different. Maybe the environment's a little different. Maybe the population's slightly different. But it's just the human body. It's movement at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah. No, totally. Cool, man. All right, we're gonna go into lightning round. So
lightning round. Okay.
Yeah. So off the top, first thing that comes to your mind. I'm gonna pull this in. Okay. We just talked about this. All right, cool. I'll try not to like. Actually, no. We'll keep it simple. Okay. If you could like relive one day in your career, which day would that be and why?
If I could relive one day in my career, my professional career, maybe this is hard. Maybe we had a party when we reached 1 million followers on Instagram, and it wasn't necessarily the milestone of reaching 1 million. It was more so that like all of our friends, our family, our loved ones, like everyone, patients, like everyone that helped us get to that point, or like everyone that helped us get to that point, like our team was there. So I think maybe that'd be the time or the event.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that was a great time. That's a good moment too.
Yeah.
So definitely like a full circle moment. You get to reflect.
Yeah, all the families were there, which I don't like. It's rare too. Like everyone's walks of life were all together. So I'm very appreciative.
That's cool. Name up to 3 people you look up to, and like why? Why do you look up to them?
2 or 3 people. I don't know if I'll go with any specifics, just because it's basically other builders or entrepreneurs or people that are building something to make the world a better place. You can say Steve Jobs, like what did he do? Or you can say Elon. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff associated with him, but like anyone that's like building something that's going to change the way the world is for the better, or it doesn't have to be change the way the world, or change one individual person for the better. So anyone that's building something like that. It has like positive utility to someone else.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. I like this one. Okay. What would you tell your younger self? And let's say this is like year 1 of, this is when, I don't know, like timeline wise, whether it's like when you first graduated from SC, or when you guys were still in school. Okay. Whichever, I don't know, whichever works. But what would you tell your younger self, if there's any advice you would have for younger Mike?
Younger Mike at that age. This is hard. Maybe I would say, keep an open. I don't want to say keep an open mind. Like it's a double-edged sword. Like, follow your passions, but also don't get too deep into it. Okay. I would say, like why? Like very early on, and even it's a little bit now to this day. Although I'm working on that, is to not just have a full 100% depth and obsession with just my work and what I do there. So like having interests outside of work and keeping yourself open to those things. Like, no, it's not a waste of time to go do that, even though there's stuff to do in work. That's what I'd probably say. Got it. Yeah, so it's like a double-edged sword, like. It
is double-edged. Yeah. I understand that, but in my early 20s, I was like definitely that person. Yeah. Like,
just grind.
I didn't care. I didn't care about being social. I didn't care about nothing. Like, I was just, like you said, everything was a waste of time, or everything was an obstacle. Exactly. Everything was an obstacle if it wasn't about whatever the end goal, whatever the goal was. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, being present. Maybe that's what I say. Be more present in the moment.
Totally. Yeah. It's tough though, because I wonder if I wasn't that way back then, would I be here now? Yeah. Right. So it's tough. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. All right. A fun one. If you could relive one sporting event, whether you wanted to be there or you saw it on TV or whatever, it doesn't matter, which one would it be and why?
Can I say going to the future for a sporting event?
Is it gonna be Niners in the Super Bowl or what?
I was gonna say actually LA, like the Olympics here. I'm super stoked for the Olympics in LA. Like,
oh really?
I want to try to go to as many of those, like as many events as I possibly can.
That'd be cool.
And it's gonna be a mess with traffic, but like
yeah,
it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. You don't have to travel anywhere. Like
that's true.
Like, that's what I want. I want to live that as much as possible when it's here. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, for sure. I want to go to all the things. It's gonna be tough. I feel like
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna.
I think it's gonna be insane. But
I know.
But yeah, I'm down though. We'll pull up. We'll go.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right. I want to ask you these top 5 ones, but I feel like you don't like them. I'm gonna try one.
All right, go for it.
All right. Who are 5 people at the same time? Like you have a reservation at like a bar.
Yeah.
Or a restaurant, whatever, to grab dinner with or to grab beers with or whatever. Who are 5 people you want to like sit down? Who's on the reservation? 5 other people and you.
I'd say people on the reservation would probably be family members that are no longer here.
Oh, okay.
That's probably what I'd say. I feel like in the world we live in now, we talk so much about content. The people that I let's say look up to or like follow or the things I read, like there's so much information that's out there that I'm able to quench my thirst. I'm able to get what I want from my curiosity from a blog or a YouTube video or an essay that someone wrote. Like I'm able to get that from there.
Got it.
Which is content enough for me.
Got it.
But like having a conversation with your dinner or something, yeah, it would be family members that are no longer here, or anyone that's no longer here.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, that's beautiful.
Hard to name 5. That's also why.
Yeah.
Like I don't know 5 people on the top of my head.
Come on. All right. Last one. Where do you draw your strength from when things get tough? Whether it's like personal or professional, like what well do you tap into?
Yeah. I think it's a double-edged sword again. Like my ADHD. Like I can persevere and hyper focus and get whatever needs to get done in that narrow lane, which is good and bad. You know what I mean? So like that's probably what I would rely on. Like I will find a way to reach that end goal. Like whatever it is, like I'll figure out a way to get there. It may come at the cost of like a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But I'll figure out how to do that.
Okay. No one's answered that like that, but I agree. I resonate with that because I feel like I'm an expert. Like I can compartmentalize really well.
Yeah.
So like no matter what's happening in my life, like if something needs to get done, like I can like separate.
Yeah.
Compartmentalize and just separate and just do that thing.
Yeah.
Or if something bad happens, I can like compartmentalize and like I can kind of like shove that to the side, whether it's good or bad or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just like from playing sports is like stakes or just being in just working in a high stakes environment, but like that doesn't matter right now. This is what needs to happen right now.
Exactly.
Like, the urgency of something can kind of like take over.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, no one's answered that like that. That's cool though.
It's great thing to do, but also like if you leave the things unaddressed, then that's where
for sure
you run into issues. But yeah, it's a blessing and curse simultaneously.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, look, I appreciate your time. Oh, actually, wait, I got something for you. All right.
Got something for me?
Yeah, I got you and Adele t-shirts.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
Thank you, man.
You got some Next Gen t-shirts. I almost forgot.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, they're a little wrinkled. You're going to have to throw them in the wash. But yeah, man.
Dude,
enjoy that.
I'm stoked with everything that... Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'm stoked with everything that you've been doing, man. It's awesome to see. I'm your biggest fan, biggest supporter.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And of course, we're here with you also on your physical journey as well.
Yeah.
But I think every coach, every trainer, every healthcare professional, like kind of going back to what we were saying before, is basically an entrepreneur. Like we have the hardest jobs. Like we sacrifice our time, our bodies, our social lives to help someone else in front of us. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I was basically saying we're awesome and let's all support each other.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cheers to that, man. But yeah, one last thing. I want to say thank you. Like, I definitely look up to you as it relates to like entrepreneurship and like how you run your business and just your wealth of knowledge in that. So I come to you when I have doubts or questions or whatever it is, and just thank you for your time with all that. So
of course.
Yeah, cool.
Of course, man.
All right, brother.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's fun. That's fun.
All right, man. All right, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoy. We're on YouTube. Come grab this episode, like, subscribe, show some love. All right, peace.